sharing my screen. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, Jackie, we can.
Yeah. So guys, welcome to Surat MuleSoft Meetup 49, and the topic for today's meetup is RPA. Why RPA? Where? When? How? And what? And we have our own Siva who will be going to talk about this robotic process automation. And this is a new capability introduced by a MuleSoft. Okay, and he will more about RPA, basically where you can use the RPA, when and how and what are the capabilities provided by the robotic process automation. Let me start with a safe harbor statement. Speaker and host organizing this meetup in the individual capacity. We are not representing any organization here. This presentation is strictly for the learning purpose, and we are not holding any responsibility that same solution works for your business requirement. And this presentation is not meant for any promotional activities. Housekeeping: the recording of this meetup will be uploaded to YouTube. You can find the recording on the event page within 24 hours. You can submit or you can ask the question at any time. Try to make the session as interactive as possible. And finally, we would like to hear from you. So basically, at the end of the session, you will be receiving the mail. You will be receiving the mail with a feedback form. So please provide the feedback. This helps speaker and organizer to set up a future session and where we can improve. Organizer, so I will just not going to introduce myself. I skip it. Nitish, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thanks, Jackie. I'll also skip it. Let's start the session quickly.
Yeah. So before I hand over to Siva, so guys, like our 50th MuleSoft meetup is coming on the 1st of October. That will be our golden jubilee, and we are bringing a group of ambassadors. So they will talk about and also we will discuss about few technical topic during that particular meetup basically. Okay, so I want it will be like great if everybody can join that particular meetup, so we can have a lot of fun and lot of discussion within that particular meetup. Thank you, Siva. Like the session from here, so I will just stop sharing.
All right, I'll share my screen then. Um, Let me know if you guys are able to see.
Yes, Shiva. We can see the screen.
All right. Are you guys able to see this slides?
Yes.
Okay. All right, good. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shiva. I guess pretty much of the audience knows me. People who don't know me, I have around 10 years of experience, and I have been working in MuleSoft for like last 6 years. I moderate and handle Noida, Gurgaon, Delhi, Faridabad, these meetup groups, including Ghaziabad. And I currently work as the senior solution architect with Epicenter. Previously, I used to work with EY GDS as integration architect, and prior to that, I worked with ULG and a few other firms. So that's pretty much about me. Well, so today's topic is RPA. Now, I want to open this conversation to the audience. Let's try to understand what is RPA. Would anybody would like to go ahead and try to explain what RPA exactly means? Anyone? I guess everybody has mic access.
Can I say something, Siva?
Yeah, yeah. Please go ahead, Jackie.
So like I have seen like one of can make use of this robotic process automation. So basically see there are some kind of few manual tasks, right? So those can be automated. I will give one of the example. So there is something called OCR. So basically that is optical character recognition, right? So you have a PDF file and you want to read a data from that PDF file. So generally is not that easy task, right? So most of the time like either you write some kind of use some kind of libraries like iText, right, to read that data from the PDF and just send to other system basically. So those kind of things can be automated basically, where like you can have a RPA process. That RPA process can do the optical character recognition. It will read the PDF file automatically. Then like it can call any API, and with through that API the data can be sent to any third party database or any other systems basically. That is the one of the use cases basically, right? So
Correct, correct. Zaki rightly said that. So RPA means, I mean, if you go by the the literal definition, right? That means RPA, robotic process automation. So that means that if there is an existing process, we want to deploy robots or software bots, and we want to automate that process. Now, those processes they are like everywhere in the industry. There can be a lot of things, like Jackie took an example of invoice processing, right? So currently what happens, reading an invoice or verifying an invoice requires manual tasks. A person has to go through the manual invoice, he has to check the numbers, and he has to verify that the invoices are correct, right? Now, this is just a simple example, right? Things can be more complex than this one. But yeah, so this manual process, this is a task basically. You know, if you go into technical terms, this is a task where you are um, reading an invoice and verifying the numbers, and if you're checking that if there's a discount applied, or if the discount should have been applied or not, those all things, right? Those all numbers are matching or not with your orders and everything. So that kind of match work or manual work, that is something which can be automated, and this has been in IT world for like last 10 odd years or more than that maybe, right? People have written Python scripts, they've written Groovy scripts, they've written different libraries which can read a PDF maybe and find out the numbers, and they can automate this whole process, right? But the problem is that this is very isolated. Like, there is one process. If I say that I'm automating, I end up automating one task out of that whole chain of processes, right? So that is that has never helped. And it's not that the MuleSoft RPA is the first thing which has come into the picture. We already have other companies who brought their products, but somewhere it was not centralized. Things were scattered, and there were a lot of challenges around doing that RPA automation, right? So let's quickly see what is RPA. So I told you what RPA is, right? What its literal meaning is. Now, I will like to list out a few pain points basically where we see in organization while the application of RPA, right? So we have, as I took example, right, that invoicing is one task. It's just one task. It's not the whole process. It's just one task where you have to manually verify the numbers on the invoice, right? Now there are multiple such processes which are still there. So if we do one thing, we automate one part, but that doesn't mean that the whole chain is automated, right? So there is a lot of delivery gap there in terms of how we are automating multiple processes at once, so that we can say that a process is completely automated, right? Then collaboration inefficiency, as you can understand from the term itself, that people in different LOBs and different verticals sitting there, they're they have been doing this. I mean, I guess people who have seen automation in any of the sectors, any of the offices, companies, you have organizations who work for clients, you would have seen that people are trying to create some tools, desktop-based tools or web-based tools, which can do some level of automation. Right? So I'll give you a quick example. So I was working with EYGDs, and I have worked for 8 years in my life at Oracle Cloud and ERP, along with the integration platforms like MuleSoft and Delbumi and Oracle SOA and everything. Right? So there was a requirement. There were a lot of requirements actually where we were supposed to migrate the data from Oracle ERP on-prem to Oracle Cloud ERP, right? So what we did is we did some part. We automated. I created a tool, a desktop-based tool, which had the capability to migrate. Guys, am I still audible?
Yes, Shiva, we can hear
Yeah.
you.
Okay. Sorry, I had a flip of electricity, and I guess my main screen is disconnected. Anyways, so as I was saying, right, that I did this part, right, where I was successfully able to create an automation of migration part, right. But that is not the end. There are multiple things which we were not able to do with those things, and due to multiple verticals of clients, we were not able to use that tool properly. There was a lot of gap in communication, the way the verticals function and those kind of things, right? So there is definitely a collaboration inefficiency, right? Then inabilities to scale. I mean, let's suppose I develop a desktop application to migrate some data, right? So that desktop application will sit on one system, and it has a limited capacity to run your processes. Like, it was a Java based tool, and it had like constraint. The memory and the space is always a constraint. That those are the two costly things in IT world, right? So that happened, and that was the one constraint where we were not able to scale that, because if the processes were huge, or the files or data was huge to transfer, those things were not efficient in that case. So that is one more challenge we almost see, that it is the inability to scale. Any questions still here, guys? Nitish, can you have a look on the chat?
Yeah, sure, Shiva. Like if something will come on
Okay,
chat, I'll ask you.
there is no question. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So, see, uh, guys, doing this, you know, designing and running those bots is a very, that will be a simpler thing in against what we are currently discussing, right? I mean, you can we'll come to that point where we'll create a process and we'll deploy it, and we'll try to see how it runs. That's specific to MuleSoft, right? But this as a whole has always been there. These challenges have always been there, right? So let's try to understand why the when we say that RP is getting deployed or we are doing automation, then why still we have not been able to scale it up to that number where we can confidently say that, okay, are these many processes are uh, automated, right? So with that, I will move to the next step, where why this need of universal automation approach is needed, right? So we want to fill those gaps, like there is collaboration inefficiency, and those kind of challenges of scalability and all. We want to mitigate those. I mean, with MuleSoft, we will be able to mitigate those things. We can do end-to-end automation, faster innovation in terms where, because we are not dependent on LOBs or verticals, it can work across verticals and those things. Then, as you say that, just like Anypoint Anypoint platform gives you the access to runtime manager, API manager, everything is at one place, right? It's unified ecosystem. You can do everything from there. You can control everything from there, right? So same way for this, that mindset of unified ecosystem that also comes in MuleSoft RPA. That is where MuleSoft RPA will be the number one, where it brings the unified ecosystem to do everything from one place. And as we have a lot of already developed connectors and those kind of things, which can help you integrate to Salesforce. Like Salesforce is like a native integration now, right? Now, Slack, SAP, you talk about Oracle ERP, you talk about anything. Like you guys are working on a lot of projects, and you might have seen there that a connector, out of the box connector, is available for almost every SaaS application out there, right? So when we come and we adjoin the RPA, MuleSoft RPA, and we adjoin the platform capabilities, these two things together, they will be a miracle. And that is why MuleSoft RPA is going to lead now the sector. And this is my, my analysis where how it can do that. The unified ecosystem, first of all, and the governance which we are providing from there, like Anypoint platform, which we have been doing so far, like we can control everything from there, right? So this is more of a, I'm not sure, people might think this to be a theoretical concept, but these are the actual concepts where the rest of the things are designed. And like this is the base where we will design our processes, how things will work. I will go ahead with that. So yeah, now coming to the point where I mentioned Anypoint platform and how that will work, right? So integration, your integration capabilities of Anypoint platform and your RPA. Now these two things, when they will connect, and you can see that Composer is also there, right? Where it can help you do a lot of native integrations just by creating some simple flows, right? If you want to learn more on Composer, you can, I guess Jackie did uh, meetup on Composer. Jackie did that, right? Composer.
Yes, yes, we have.
Yeah. So you already did. Anypoint platform you guys are already aware of. And if you want to learn more about Composer, go there. RPA is something which we are talking about today, right? So these three things combined, they will change the way things have been working till now and how it will scale those things. We'll see the demos and everything, and then we will realize that now this Anypoint platform, because now
Just a minute, Shiva. Is this a problem with everyone? Everybody can see the black screen.
I can able to see black
Can
screen.
you
You can
can
help
you
me.
just reshare it, Shiva?
Yeah,
okay.
It's working fine for me.
No, it's working fine for me.
I will stop, and I guess I will do that. Stop sharing. Share screen.
Thank you. Now I can see it.
Yeah, it's visible now.
yeah,
It's
we can
visible
see
now.
slide 10 of 35.
Perfect.
What is MuleSoft RPA? Yeah.
Many thanks.
MuleSoft RPA. What is MuleSoft RPA? Okay, we will come back. Okay, we are here now. I guess the automate cross application reference teams, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So, uh, yeah, I was talking about the complete strength of how the MuleSoft complete Salesforce MuleSoft ecosystem, like your Composer, Endpoint Platform, and the RPA being available at from one single vendor. Like if you consider MuleSoft and Salesforce to be your vendors, right? Everything is available at one stop. It's like one stop shop for your integration and RPA capability, right? If you want to do RPA, you already have been doing integrations, and of course, if you are doing CRMs and a lot of things, right? So it's one stop shop now. You can automate your tasks which with Composer, which I guess it will simplify the way you exchange data very simply from Salesforce. You can do that, right? Then Salesforce and NetSuite, for an example, right? Then we have this RPA, of course, MuleSoft RPA to do that for us. All right. Any questions till this point?
Not yet, Shiva.
No questions. Am I talking very good or am I talking all rubbish? Nobody's understanding anything. All right. All right. So, what is MuleSoft RPA? Let's then So again, I'll before coming to MuleSoft RPA, again I will emphasize on understanding what exactly RPA is. We'll come to MuleSoft RPA. Anybody else who can say a few words on RPA?
Just want to say one thing like RPA will see its help when we do a recursive task again and again manually. So to ease that task, we'll be creating one process so which can save time and able to run automatically and give the result as expected.
Correct. So, and there are a lot of other aspects also, if you understand from that perspective, right? Okay, let's move to. I'll try to write a few things. Try to understand from that point. So, when we take an example of invoice, right? So, what is invoice verification? If I'm saying that invoice verification, I do the work of invoice. Somebody at my team is doing work of invoice verification, right? So I guess everybody will agree to that invoice verification is just a task, right? Reading a PDF and verifying the numbers. Do we agree that this is just a task, right? Guys, yes, no, maybe.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't have access to chat right now. I can't see the chat writing this, so I will
Yeah.
need some.
Yes.
Yeah. There are a couple of yes.
Thank you. All right. So task like reading a PDF file, right, and verifying the numbers, that is a task. But the eventual process will be what? Your process will be that somebody will verify the invoice, then either that invoice will be correct or that will be faulty. So there will be a workflow. They divided at that point where we will say that okay, if I am if I have a choice router, if you try to understand from that from MuleSoft's background, so that will be that okay, if it is a valid invoice or it is not a valid invoice. In both the cases, it will follow a different route. Correct. So now, whatever happens after that, so let's suppose I am doing an invoice verification. I pass that. In case of a faulty invoice, I pass the invoice to Nitish to make sure whatever changes are needed, those changes are done, and the invoice is recreated. Correct. Now that after recreation, that invoice will come back again to me in my queue, and I will again do that verification. And then if it is verified, it will go to the correct route, and maybe those numbers will be entered into the system, whatever system. It might be a financial ERP system, it might be Oracle ERP or SAP, or we might be pushing it into NetSuite for financials. So that whole thing, that whole process is a process actually. Now we move from task to a process where we say that let's suppose I say order to cash. If anybody has any idea around processes of ERPs or that, so we have order to cash cycle. Order to cash means you order something on Flipkart, and your order is created and you make the payment, right? And you receive the goods, whatever you have ordered. So that is order to cash cycle. Now, so task automation, right? This is the basic. This is the atom, basically, right? If you understand from that theory, that tasks are at the basic level where you can automate a particular task. Now, addition of automation, like if you automate your multiple tasks, then it becomes a process automation. Right? So we have task automation, then we come to the process automation. Now there will be multiple processes. So let's suppose we are talking about invoice only right now, right? So if I go through the order to cash cycle, so how it works is you will place the order through the let's suppose there is a front end, it may be SAP Hybris as a order taking front end, or it's a custom built order taking this system, right? So you will place the order, you will make a payment. Now your payments will be, because invoices are created at the time and you make the payments against that, then there will be receipts for that. Those invoices will be moved to accounts receivable section because it's a customer section. So there is an AR module which we call as account receivable, right? And if you're buying something as a company, if I buy something from someone, that goes to AP cycle, AP module, that is accounts payable, okay? Because I have to pay, and receivables is what I will get from the customer, right? So your invoices will go to AR module, they will be loaded into those systems, those tables. Then your receipts will also go against that system. Those invoices and receipts will be against your account, right? And they will, at the end, when it goes to the general ledger or sub ledger accounting, it will, those books of which you understand from the finance books, those are GL books actually. They will be posted, those journals are posted to the GL module, right? So this is the whole process of order to cash. Now this process is huge, right? Like me as a let's suppose I have one bank which is taking payments for me. I have a payment gateway from JP Morgan, and they are handling payments for me from credit card, cash, or whatever other customer is paying, right? So that is one process. Now the what JPM will do, guys, are you following on this, or should I repeat this? Because this is very important to understand how we will differentiate task, process, and one more thing.
Can you repeat it once again?
Okay. So in order to cash cycle, what happens? Customer oh places order. Right. This customer places order. Then let's suppose and payment. Payment is made through. JPM payment. Okay. Now JPM, as a JP Morgan bank, now they are collecting payments for us. Okay. So what will happen now when the numbers have to be matched, when I have to push my entries to the accounts receivable, JPM will give me that. I mean, at the end of the day, they will give me a file which will have all the payment records, so that I can make an entry in my system also that these many payments were received against these invoices. Those are matched with account IDs, right? You as a Flipkart you have a customer ID, and the customer ID is a unique key for you. Or you will have your invoices which you can see in your orders, and you'll also see your payments which you make. The payments must be made from any of the gateways. That is a separate story, but the gateway will, the responsibility of the gateway or the bank will be to create a file, or they will do a logbox connection that will share the data of the complete list of payments which is done for the end of the day, and those will be reflected in the system of Flipkart. Right? Let's try to understand from that perspective. Now, invoice verification was one task. Then order to cash, let's suppose under order to cash also there are multiple several small processes. So customer placed an order, right? Now this is a separate process. Now payment is being made, that is a separate process. Then there is a reconciliation of payments actually. Reconciliation of payments. So reconciliation of process is a separate payment. Right? Then posting to GL. GL is general ledgers. Ledgers is your finance books, which is the actual business funda, GA. So now this is like these are multiple small processes which are under the order cash cycle itself, right? Now these many processes must be handled by different entities also. So I can automate. Let's suppose this is already automated. Payment, customer has made the this place the order. That is simple, already automated, right? Then payment is made through JPM. Now we are using gateway. That is automated. Now reconciliation of payment is where we are stuck, right? It is not maybe automated. It might be automated. It might not be automated. Then posting to GL might be automated or might not be automated, right? Maybe here we are doing the verification of invoices. So there are multiple sub processes which are there still, or we can say that these are multiple processes in them itself, right? Now, so if I have to, so the target of RPA is to automate the whole process, including the sub processes which are there inside, right? So the term which we use is hyper automation. Hyper automation is what? Hyper automation is the automation of all the processes of a life's workflow, basically, if you understand from that perspective. So let's suppose I say that order to cash is a workflow, then all these steps are automated as far as possible, right? As far as possible means there is minimal manual intervention. A manual intervention will always be needed. I mean, that will be needed because systems can learn and maybe they can take care of a lot of things, but there will be instances where human intervention is needed, right? But the theory of hyper automation is that we try to maximize the RPA intervention rather than manual intervention in automating the complete workflow or the complete life cycle of a process, if you understand from that perspective, or multiple processes. And these all processes across the your organization are automated. That is what hyper automation means. That across your verticals, these workflows and processes are automated. Any questions? This is a very important concept of hyper automation.
And like Shiva, like the customer, like the like employee onboarding can be also done automated, right? Like that
Yes,
also.
yes. Nowadays, I mean, it's pretty much automated. You understand from the.
And
Uh,
also we can add like approval stages in between, right? So basically some
I'll
stage
talk
needs
to
to
you.
be up,
I
right?
will talk about that in between. Yeah, I'll talk
Oh,
about the process when I design that. But I'm talking about the hyper automation right now, and understanding hyper automation is important because that is the goal which we will align with deploying your MuleSoft RPA. Anybody has any questions? So there are three levels of automation: task, process, and then comes hyper automation. No questions? All clear?
I guess so, Shiva.
Something is wrong. All right.
Okay, there is a question by Anil. Is everything can be automated? I means 100%.
Nothing can be, nothing, there is nothing as 100% in the world. But yeah, the vision is to, it will tend to 100%. But it's like there will always be manual intervention needed at some point. But that is what we say as negligible, right? So in today's world, if you talk about our automated those scheduled integrations, right? They work fine. I mean, I don't think we really need to go there and check a lot of things. But there will be issues at some point. There will be data issues. There will be infra issues. There will be some other issues which will require manual intervention. So, 100% automation is it's it's a vision actually. You know, it's something. It's complicated to say that it is totally viable.
Yes, your example can be like if we want some manual stage approval, right? So that
Correct.
cannot be automated. We cannot read the human mind, right? Otherwise, we need to place a chip in the human mind, and then the robotic will read from his mind, right?
That is the future, Jackie. That is the future. So we are going to do that. Elon
So
Musk is already doing
so
it.
RPA will go and read his mind, and then it will, depending on the employee ID, and it will going to approve that request.
So already, if you have heard, I mean, there are theories, and I guess people have observed that your Apple devices normally sometimes. I mean, I'm not sure of the theory, but I was reading a few articles, and they say that a lot of devices they listen to you, and I guess somebody was making claim. I'm not sure that. These if you're thinking or if you're talking to someone that you want to buy something, you're getting ads accordingly, just even you have not typed it anywhere. So those kind of things are already, I think they are there. And I mean, talking about the chips and your reading mind of or controlling your things with your mind, that is the like near future only, I believe.
I think Shiva, you are speaking about a fact. That's not a theory.
uh, so all right. All right. If there are no further questions, I will go back to my slide. Let's see
Yeah,
how.
Kaushi, the architecture will come. Okay, so he will talk about the RPA architecture. So
Correct. So, what is MuleSoft RPA? What is different in MuleSoft RPA? I guess everybody would already have heard the terms automation anywhere, Blue Prism, UiPath, and people have done a lot of custom RPA in terms. Python was there. I mean, people have written a lot of like I myself have written Python scripts which can go and log in onto Oracle ERP and feed data from a file and create setups in Oracle Cloud, right? So those things have always been there. But how MuleSoft RPA, I mean, has now come and how it is a matured product in terms, you can say, how it is different and matured and what all things it brings to table, so that people should go to MuleSoft RPA, right? So simple definitions, I guess, a few lines. Rule-based business processes executed by software bot. That is what RPA is. That it is rule-based. Right? It will, whatever commands are given, it will work according to that. Then they can interact with systems and applications as humans. Like they can go, they can click on buttons. They can log in onto your accounts, and they can perform multiple tasks and everything. Then in MuleSoft RPA, so MuleSoft acquired a company 2 years back, I guess, Service Trace, and RPA X1 RPA server is it's from the same company, and it is rebranded and everything. Now it is X1 RPA server, right? This is part of, these are the components of RPA. Then where can RPA, MuleSoft RPA, or should can be utilized? Right? Let's see how we find out the tasks, how we can find out the use cases, how you will in future try to find out the use cases where we can apply RPA. Right? So you can read to the list. If there are repetitive tasks, as RPA automation is always aligned, or it is connected to the point where we want to get rid of manual and monotonous jobs, like filling of the data in some system, or doing some manual Excel work or something like that. Right? We always connect with that, and we want to get rid of that, and we want to install a bot itself. Right? Then sensitive data is one challenge. Then how fast that can be done, right? Because you have limited staffing, and then the tasks, let's suppose invoice matching itself, right? Now invoice matching under normal circumstances, normal season of the year might be your staff of 10 people would be good enough. But let's suppose there is a particular season, right? Like your big billion sale is coming now. So during the big billion sale, there will be extra load not only on the people, not only on the staff, but also on your infrastructure and your services which you are providing, right? So those are the places where we can think where, and it will always be a sweet spot in conjunction with your existing systems and infrastructure and staff. Then does the business system lack in or APIs data is accessible? Those kind of, there are a few listed use cases you can read through. These are pretty much simple to understand. I don't think we should focus much here. Then we come to how to use MuleSoft RPA. Right? So we talked about what is MuleSoft RPA, what is RPA, and what are tasks automation, what is task automation, what is process automation, and what is hyper automation. Right? Those three things, important key concepts. Now, how to use MuleSoft RPA. So in MuleSoft RPA, we have divided, MuleSoft has divided into multiple phases actually, right? One is process evaluation. Then we start with evaluation. We evaluate a process that, okay, this invoice matching, how much it is costing me right now. Let's suppose one person is taking, one person sitting there who is doing this task is taking $20 per hour, right? And he works 8 hours, and he's in 1 hour he's able to match or verify 4 invoices or 10 invoices, whatever it is, right? Now you evaluate that what is the cost of a single staff working on that, right? Then you will analyze from the term that, okay, if I want to install RPA, right, what is the ROI against that? ROI is the return on investment. Everybody understands that, I believe. Now you have to evaluate a process that if I'm putting RPA, I cannot go ahead and put RPA in everything. Right? I have to evaluate the process, that the process is worth enough and it is the main revenue generating thing maybe, right? So we evaluate a process, then the process is created and it goes for approval. It goes for approval to your managers. Right? Then your manager will approve. Then the project will be created. Then the process will be designed. Then these are steps, the creation of project. Then you design the process. Then you build the process, and then you test it, and then you deploy it on the box. Any questions on the phases?
We are good.
All right. All right. So let's. So this is the X1 documentation. You can visit the sites of X1 documentation. You'll find X1 server. There are a lot of documentation available. You can read it from there. So let me go to the actual place where we can see this RPA. So this is my screen. Okay, this is when I log in onto this. I can sign out. So this is the URL. It looks like this. User and password. I feel there are some glitches somewhere sometimes, but mostly it works. Okay. So here, if you see, right, I created a process, and the process is create invoice process. Right? Create invoice process means that let's suppose somebody is creating PDFs. Those PDFs are there. Somebody is manually entering in the PDFs, or some other system. Somebody else is you're handling your invoices right now. They are sending you PDFs for the orders, right, or the invoices, and then you want to enter into your ERP system. quite possible. Understood. Just take it this as to be a hypothetical process. So this is a create invoice process, right? So okay. So if I click on this, so these are the phases if you see: design, build, test, and production. Production is the final deployment. Okay. So the very first thing is process evaluation. Okay. I will not be able to create a new process because if I create a process, it goes to somebody in the server to approve, and that person will not be available. So you can see there are multiple processes that are created. Right. So if I go ahead and try to create, I'll just create it for the sake of the demo. So let's suppose I am creating a process which says verify, let's upload data from okay. Let's suppose this is the evaluation we are trying to do. We are using default and we can choose demo. Alright. And do okay. So this is the first step actually, where you go for a process evaluation. Okay. So I created a process. Now what it is saying is, it is asking me what is the cost involved for manual process execution time, cost per process run, and frequency per month. It will take some inputs from there. So if you see this, let's suppose I give this as it takes 01 hours, 30 minutes, and 0 seconds. So, and what is the cost? Let's about $25 is the cost per hour to do this activity, and the frequency per month is like there might be 20,000 invoices, or more than that. This will be more than. Then there are some qualifiers. Okay, what kind of nature of work it is, and you will have to analyze your use case whenever you do that. You have to analyze your use case, and according to that, you will have to select the intensity of, or the grade, or the scale of nature of work, stability, input, output, data type, what all things are there. So let's suppose nature of work is judgment based or rule based. So let's suppose as you talk about a process where somebody is you are applying for a loan, right? So loan is of two types. It is rule based and judgment based both. Actually, what happens? They will take your data. Let's suppose you tell them that your salary is 50,000 rupees per month, and you want 50 lakh rupees home loan. Then they will put this whole data into their system, and they will tell you that what will be your monthly EMI, what will be the tenure of that loan, and but if you request, and that is a rule based thing, right? But what will happen if you urge them that okay, you want more loan or something like that, then it escalates. It will be approved. It will move to the senior person. They will then decide, or they will take the judgment that okay, if you are they're telling you 50 and you want 60, then you can raise that request, and they can either they will make 60 or somebody else will make it to be 60. Okay? So that is judgment based thing. So this is the thing, like if it is a rule based, more of rule based rather than judgment based, something like that, right? Then stability of, it is unstable or it's stable, it's a stable process. Then input output, these are some process metrics which you have to define as per your tasks or processes. Right? Then complexity, change quality, and risk, how much risk it is. Complexity, is it complex or it is simple? Then output quality is, it is perfectly fine, or it is how much risk is involved as this the data, because it depends on kind of data. So like if you're talking about financial data, you can still consider it to be low priority or low risk. But if you're talking about healthcare data, the risk is very high. Like federal laws are very complicated and very strict laws in US, right? So those kind of parameters you have to fill in, and it will define. Like if I try to change this thing, you see this thing will keep moving as I change this, right? So as I make it more simple or complex, and this way, right? So this will define the benefits and the qualifiers against how much benefit against how much qualifier. Then I can save it. Okay. Then where is that? PDF. Why it's not showing here? I refresh this. Okay, search with the app. Where will my process go? Did I lose it? Okay, here it is. Let's do this. So this is the process evaluation I have. This is the amount which I'm spending. Now I can. So if I send it for approval, it will go to somebody for approval. It's project manager. I can select whom to send. So I can send to. If I send this, they will receive an email to do that. The person is not available right now, so I will come back to the actual process which I created earlier. That is an approved process. After approval, that will start showing up here actually under my processes. Okay. So when you open this processes, so what we can do is, this is a design phase of the project actually. Design. So any questions in the evaluation phase? Anybody, any questions in the evaluation phase?
So Shiva, so if we are utilizing this evaluation phase of MuleSoft RPA,
Hmm.
uh, how do we justify the evaluation that this is the most accurate evaluation available? Or I feel that the client will always counter that what's the ground this evaluation is based upon, or
So that, see, that is the whole point of doing the evaluation at the
right,
first scale, right? That we need to evaluate that the processes which we are trying to automate and the amount of workforce and work we are trying to put into that is fine. I mean, it is equivalent, or the ROI which we will be getting after a year or 2 years, it's worth it. Right? So once the client has to evaluate the process first, and they can put in some parameters here. I mean, this might not be the, and these many parameters would not be sufficient enough
right.
to
Hmm.
justify that whole thing. But yeah, it gives you a head start, right? That okay, we can if we can if some process fits into this category, we can do that.
It
But if
can
it
be the
doesn't,
initial picture.
right? There can be more parameters to it, and not every process will fall under these sections.
Right.
But if you try to break down a process into these parameters, those, I mean, majorly the process will fall, but there will be processes which will not fall under these sections or these parameters. So this is like that is a quite subjective thing, right? But yeah, I mean, to get a head start, I mean, this is
Right.
say one thing. This is the very first phase of use of RPA, and I am pretty much sure that in the next releases which are coming very soon, we will see more parameters to it, and they will keep on adding to that thing, right?
Mhm.
So that the evaluation is more accurate. Currently, it might not be that accurate.
Noted. Yep.
Yeah. So
Shiva, one question here. Like this process evaluation phase, it is a mandatory one. Like it has to be
yes,
done and it has to be approved. Only then we can move ahead.
correct. That is true.
Okay.
Okay. Any further questions, guys? Any other questions? All right. I'll take the silence as no. So now we come to the project. We come to the actual implementation. Not the implementation also at this stage, I would say. Here we will just define the process. Okay. How many of us understand what is a BPMN? What do we mean by BPMN?
It is related to business process modeling network.
Yes, that's correct. So business process modeling is you take a process and you model it. Model it means you put that process. Uh, you can say you can. It's like defining the workflow. Actually, you can have a display of the workflow, how things are working. Okay? If you simply, I mean, everybody can go to bpnm.io. It's a very simple. You can try online. So these are, see, you see these. This is like if you have seen the flow chart, right? If you have read and you have worked on with flow charts, it's pretty much similar to that. BPNM. Now you can design your you can have a graphical view of the complete process of what happens and what not happens in a workflow. Okay. Then so let's suppose I say this is a start point, right? Choose invoice and Then we say, if I move it here a bit, then we say numbers match. Then we can have workflows. We can have processes which can be done. So we want to I want to connect to one more process actually. Do that. Check invoice, email. Similarly, I want to validation successful. Validation successful. And date time. And the second event. So I connect the end event. This end. So this is a very simple process, right? It's a very simple task, or say, and this is a task basically, and this is the process. Right? This is a task, choosing invoice and reading it from the PDF, and this is the whole. This whole thing is a process. Here also it will end actually. Okay, so this can be huge. I mean, I've designed in my earlier stage of career. At some point, I've designed this, like huge ones. They're like multiple sheets and pages ones. So you can design these workflows here, okay? And you will have a graphical representation of the whole workflow, how things work, where it is getting failed, where is the user manual intervention, how long it will wait. Everything is there. So these processes can be created here, and these files can be downloaded, and they can be imported here directly, or you can create here also. So dpmn.io is embedded here. Actually, you can create the process here. It's very simple. You just take this, you drag and drop, and you just do this. That's all. This is a simple process. This is the complete of design, right? Then once you design it, once it is designed, any questions in the design process, guys? Nothing complex here. It's very straightforward, like a flowchart. Right? You have to design a flowchart of your process, what happens when, and there is no connection, nothing to any API or database or anything here. When we'll implement this, then we'll do those things. Okay. So if you have no questions, then the next step is to publish this actually. Right? So this, if I publish this, this will be published. It's similar to publishing your asset to the exchange. And you can associate your applications, which needs to be added to this Chrome or release to build. So this will be released to build actually. Now it is available here. Now what we'll do is we'll go to MuleSoft Rpa Builder. We'll open that. It's opening here. So, okay, let me connect to my bigger screen so that you can see that properly. Not able to see this. Let me know if you guys are able to see the RPA Builder.
Yes, we can see this.
All right. So you can see that I already did that create invoice process. So this, once it is published there, and once you, because the way you connect your asset, your exchange to your endpoint studio, the same way it connects to that. You can see that my credentials are put there and it is connected to this server. This server. This is a server, right? So rpa.com. So this is connected to this server actually, and you will see this process here. When you refresh this, you will see this process here, create invoice process. So we'll download the project basically from the, this Xcode server. So here you will see this, that this thing, right? This will show up. This window will show up once the project is imported. This window will show up. You will see all the processes which are defined here. Then you double click on it. So once you double click on this, so this is a start, right? Of course, this is a start. There is no workflow associated with this. Actually, there is workflow associated with this process. Now, what I have done here is, so these three things will be here: workflow initialization, activity workflow, and workflow finalization. So every activity here will have a this defined, this activity defined, this workflow defined. What this process can do, this will be defined basically. There are multiple things in terms of variables, how you can define variables, activities, and how you can do those things. That is all really available in documentation. You can always read that. But I will show you the most important things. So this is the start of the process. This is the end of the process. This is the part where I have to do some processing. I have to attach some processing to this. So what currently I've done to save the time, so I'll show you toolbox here. There will be a section of toolbox. Yes. So this is the toolbox here, if you see. Okay. I will expand one by one. You can see the favorite one. Then you can see this is app session, click app element, keystroke to app element, read text, and everything. So these are useful when you are trying to interact with the website, that you want to click some element, you want to take the keystrokes, you want to save the keystrokes, and then you want to set some text to that or some toggles to that. And these are like multiple tools available here, which you will use in your activity workflow to to automate the whole process. Okay. Then checks are there, window wait, controls are there, clear screen, enter string, keystrokes, mouse actions, run program. These are all, you can see that by looking at this, that these are to interact with a website or some desktop application, right? Then document processing is you want to read some document from somewhere, credentials for AWS, entities for AWS, tables with AWS, OCR with AWS, Excel operations are there, file operations are there, copy file, create file, read file, whatever. Flow control is there. You want to loop something, you want to loop a process, you want to break out of it at some condition. Those kind of things, right? General things are there, mail operations are there, measurement points, networking is there. You can ping a system, you can make a REST call, right? Then system is there, network drives, message box, or write logs, system validation. Then text recognition is what we talk about. Then OCR, like your it's optical reader kind of thing, which reads a file. Variables, very important. You can set variables here, multiple types of variables here. Then you have web automation. You have multiple things here. Check web element. If you understand front end from the perspective, you can always you know that what elements are. There will be HTML tags and elements will be there, right? Those kind of things. So web sessions and Chrome and Firefox, and message, website load time. So there are multiple tools and tech stacks available, and there are aspects to like REST APIs, which you can connect to multiple REST APIs, AWS, ERPs, and this will be extended somewhere where you might be able to directly connect to some systems like NetSuite or like Composer is doing, right? Composer directly can connect to NetSuite and those kind of things and bring data and fetch data from there. So let's to simplify to give you a very simple demo right now. So what I've done is I've created a process. I dragged a file control. If you see file control. So this is a read file. Okay.
Shiva,
This is
there's
a
a
read.
question.
Yeah.
Can't we design a process in RPA Builder itself?
RPA Builder. It's here.
I guess where uh, you have published it. Yeah.
This one. Uh, I think I didn't try it, but I think we can do that because if we have to edit this somewhere, right, we can do that. It's doable. It's not that it will stop you from doing that. You can do that because this whole process comes here and you are able to design this actually. These are design elements here shown. So you can do that. It is doable, guys. You can do that. You can update this here. So what I have done is I have done a read PDF. Okay. So if I double click on this, I have to configure, right? So you can have environment variables here, insert script variable here. Currently, I have hard coded it to read this file and directory path and everything. Password, if PDF is file protected, then you can use the password. Read entire file or read page range or text in selected area. Everything is possible here. These are properties of an OCR. Then you can see there are no variables currently mapped here. Whenever a variable is mapped, this is pinned actually here. The pin will turn black. Then after reading PDF file, I want to store that file basically. Where it's a variable wizard, I want to store that data basically here. Okay. So you can see if I do the mapping, variable value is read PDF file dot read text. Whatever variable of this output will be, or this output will be mapped to file PDF data here. Then I want to take that file, the data, and I want to write a file. So that step is to create a empty file and then write to a text file. Okay. So my file is rpa written.text documents rpa. Okay. And this is put under transaction. If you see, this is under transaction. If anything is failing here, it will throw an error, and it will basically revert roll back. I mean, here if you understand rollback, it's nothing. It will just not write the file, right? So this is a simple process. Let's try to run this. to validate the project. Then I want to minimize this. Just like that. This project can be uploaded. So this project will be please in the description. Although I have not made any changes. This project will be, so this is just the builder, right? Your actual RPA works on the server only. Project upload was successful. Right. All right. Then I want to test this actually. I want to test this process. Oh. So I want to run this actually. Run this one. So once I run this, I'm trying to run without actually here. Let's see the files first. So here we are trying to read and download this file, snapshot.pdf. We are trying to read this file. And we are trying to write this file. RPA is written next. The document is about. So this was written right now. I will delete this. Okay. And I'll show you the file first. This one. Something 12 principles. Yeah, and this is the file actually. So this is the file I'm trying to read. 12 principles snapshot. A message from John. 12 principles snapshot per PDF. This is the file I'm trying to read. And I'm trying to write this data into rpa written.txt. I want to convert this data into text so that I can use that data. I ran that, I guess. So it is not showing the result right now. It should ideally show that. Okay, it's showing here. If you see below, right? I'm not sure I can clear it. Stop now. And okay, so now if you see here under documents, there is no file. Okay? Place this here. It will. I'll run this process. Run workflow. It will run that flow. So it ran right now, reading this file. This is the process it is running. Read PDF file is succeeded. Create file, and then write file is succeeded. Overall consumed time for this run is 0.9 seconds. Workflow successfully closed. Completed successfully. Everything. Now I can go and see that file is written here, and I will try to read this one. So this is the file which is written here. So resource, I will try to match with the PDF. So you can look that it has read the file and it has written this whole thing. The way it is written. Questions, concerns, suggestions? Yes, no, maybe.
Question.
Are we clear on how this happened?
Yes,
Yes.
sure. I think we it it requires more exploration over in this area.
So yeah, I mean, from the demo perspective, we can do this much, but
Right.
there are a lot of things to explore actually, and that
Right.
depends from use case to use case. Right? I mean, if you have any questions on the process, or if you have any questions on how things will work, I can help you out with that. But there are a lot of things which you will have to explore, and there might be like 10 ways of defining a process. Right? So this is just a demo how things will work, how things will look like. So you have to create this project, this design, you have to build, you have to implement that design, and then you have to upload that project to the server so that it runs. Now when you run this, this actually runs on the server. So we don't have any free accounts right now. Then you have to contact your organization to help you with that account. But I'll still say that right now the focus should be more on understanding what exactly needs to be, you know, evaluated, how it should be evaluated, what is the ROI, because those will be the terms your organization will be talking about, right? You will be the part of those discussions that what steps do you still need to automate a few pain points or a few processes which are redundant, which are monotonous. People who don't want to do that, right? It's like documentation of your applications, right? Like I guess 80% of the people don't like documentation, and I guess the people would agree to that, right? Harsh, you like documentation?
Not at all. Listen to me.
80% is less, Shiva.
So that is what the question, the point is, right? That, like documentation is there, right? But in one of the clients, I have done that also. I have automated that to some level, but that is specific to a client, right? And that really doesn't solve everything.
Right.
There are much more things to it.
Shiva, there is a question. Like, so
Can we do
people,
in Linux or shell script to automate the process? We can schedule the script and achieve to do tasks. Can we do in Linux? What you want to do in Linux?
so like Shiva, my simple question will be like that. We can do the integration with Java also. Why MuleSoft? Why other product? Right? It's the same thing, right?
So, yeah, if you want to do with Java, you have to write it, right? You will have to write a lot of things.
Right. The same thing exists here,
If
right?
you want to use OCR, then you will have to include the libraries. You will have to write that code to do that.
Correct. So it's the same thing, right? So that's why we go with a platform like MuleSoft,
So,
integration
I
of
mean,
MuleSoft Anyone
I mean,
platform.
why is MuleSoft so successful? Right? What is the strategy? We people with very less knowledge of code also can do MuleSoft now, right? They can create integrations. At least they can do the basic design, and they can understand from the drag and drop perspective that has benefited to focus on the business more rather than the code. That's why we moved from Spring Boot to MuleSoft. People moved because maintaining inventory, infrastructure, and the workforce cost. A lot of things are there, right? It's difficult to manage.
Correct. Definitely, Santanu. We can definitely connect to REST API from your RPA basically. So there might be some kind of component available, right, Siva?
Yes, yes, it is there. You can see this REST API. You can do a REST call here.
Hi Shiva, Shantanu here.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
let's say that I have an existing REST API for my
Uh-huh.
client, and for some of the tasks they need they need to create an RPA. It can be used. We can create it by using MuleSoft RPA or using automation anywhere.
Hmm.
So using that host, so how can we connect through to our app directly? Like let's say
You
that
want to
yeah,
uh,
to an existing API, MuleSoft API.
you want to call the API from the RPA, or
Or
you
no,
want to call the
the
RPA
other
from the
the
API?
other way around. Yeah, I want to call the RPA from
That is
API.
possible. That is possible. We can do that. This
Okay,
this process can be activated, or that can be kicked off via API call.
okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, we can publish RPA process into any point exchange also, right? So
Correct.
that's the one
True.
also.
True. 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 I will. I mean, I can't do it everything in one go. So definitely,
Yeah,
we'll do it in some other meetup. We'll do that.
correct, correct. Yeah, for information purpose,
Yes. Yes. We'll
yeah,
do
we can
this.
use the we can make use of your basically any point exchange to publish all these RPA processes basically, so you
Correct.
can for the discovery purpose.
Yes. We always need to run the RPA process to do that task, like reading a PDF file will not. It will trigger automatically. You can schedule it or when it will actually run on the bot. So this is like I have uploaded to this server right now. I'll go back to this configuration. If you go to the RPA manager, then there will be a bot management. There will be a section of bots also. Somehow I guess my license is or my access is not full. What happened? Something went wrong, I guess. The server is down, or the service is down, or something is down. Okay, I'm getting a 500 from so it will be difficult for me to show you that, but there is a bot section. Still try to see.
Shiva, can we use this RPA for doing demand forecasting, like predictive analysis, those kind of thing?
Demand forecasting, it's more of a
Data science, I know basically. I was thinking, can we use
we are
this?
talking about concepts of when we talk about advanced supply chain, right? So those are
because
those concepts.
like because what why I'm thinking basically like
Uh,
if you want to do the sales prediction for next 2 years basically, right?
uh-huh.
So why we cannot use this, right? Yeah, basically I will tell you like they might,
Uh,
because we cannot generate the graphical representation graphs and all those things from this
correct.
particular. This is mostly for like doing the process automation or task automation, right? It's not for the analysis purpose, correct?
No, this is not for analysis, but yeah, still, I believe you can.
But we can achieve that somehow, right?
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Of course. I mean, it's something which you can do, I guess. So, yeah, there's a bot section, guys. If you see that, okay. You install the bot configurator here. If I show you the bot, there is a RPA bot configurator which needs to be downloaded and it will run and this it will show the state as okay. Then your processes is there, right? So if you go back to your process, so if I go to my processes, so it is now built. I can publish this now to test. So once the implementation is done and the project is uploaded from here, the build phase is ready and it is ready to test. Then you can create test plans here. My license has some issues, I guess. I was not able to deploy that on a bot actually. So if I try to say test 17, I can define my parameters here, activity parameters, which you saw here. If you see this activity parameters, right? Those parameters will become here. Then activation, send email notification to all related tasks. So you can use your email services and all. Then execution, run test in secure session as the default configuration. Check. Then somehow it shows warning, I guess, because this is deployed on my machine right now. So I can click on finish. Sure. And if there is a scheduled process, right, you have something which is scheduled here, then it can it will run automatically. You don't have to do anything about it. So whenever a file is placed, it will read that file and it will get the data or whatever you want to do with it. And there's multiple, few more things which you can do with the bot. A bot will be connected with the API key and everything. There will be key specific to a bot. Then there will be dashboards, there are alerts, organization management, process monitoring, where the process, this is automation part, global variables, credentials pool, those kind of things. Process streaming, bot state and operation, session queues, evaluation you saw, my RPA will be. So if I have any task under my queue, it will go there. My process code, team backlog, my backlog. So there will be team backlog. I don't think it will be anything. Let's see, it is there. This is the process. So you can claim it. When you claim it, it will come to your my backlog, something like that. Right? There are multiple processes which needs to be automated. You can claim one and claim multiple, I guess. And then you can it will show under your backlog and from team backlog. So those kind of things are there. Those kind of management, governance kind of things are there mostly. But major is that process creation and your building of this and then deploying this on the parts. That's pretty much it. So I was covering the slide, I guess. I did put a screenshots also. I will share this. Yes. So finally come to more QA. I mean, I generally go hand in hand for the QA and demo. But if you have any questions specifically, please go ahead and ask. I guess everybody has access, right?
Yes.
So anybody would like to say anything?
Shiva, I see that you have created a lot of projects in, in the interface. So, which one scenario you feel that you have stumbled upon that can be done in the most efficient manner using the RPA, in as per your experience?
Sorry, can you speak again? I am having a bit of hard time on listening to the question, please.
No worries. So I see that you have
Mhm.
created a couple of projects in the RPA already. So, in your experience, which scenario, which use case you have stumbled upon, which you feel that can be done in a most efficient manner using the MuleSoft RPA?
So, see, in my understanding, as per, I mean, MuleSoft RPA is like, it is very fresh and new to me also. Right? I have not really implemented anything using MuleSoft RPA as of an actual project.
Okay.
But in terms of automation, I have use cases. There are multiple use cases, So one of the use case I think where like migration projects in terms of your
Hmm.
ERP migration projects,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Where you are moving from on-prem to this on cloud.
Hmm.
Those can be done very easily, because when I did that in 2017, I guess 6 years back around, I had to write the whole code.
Right.
I was doing OCRs, I was using those libraries and everything. But now I guess everything is a drag and drop. It's pretty much faster than what it used to be then. So I guess those kind of use cases where you think there is a lot of effort, right? And there are chances of, so there are not only the monotonous tasks, we also talk about the processes which are sensitive and which are prone to error, because manual intervention will always be prone to error, right?
Right.
So we almost will have a take on those topics and those processes first, and then we'll talk about others.
Okay. I think that's a great takeaway because many organizations are still writing huge piece of code for doing the migrations, and if that can be handled over here, would be a
Exactly.
great help. Yeah.
Correct.
No, thanks for that. Sure.
No worries. So, Jackie, I guess that's all I had to talk about. If there are any further questions, you guys, I guess you can ask me right now. You want to spend some time, you can try reaching out on LinkedIn. I am available on community everywhere. You can find. Feel free to reach out to ask any questions that you have. So I'll give you back the control to Nitish, Jackie. You have control back.
Does this have any certification? What is the process?
We don't have any certifications currently for this topic, but there are this training programs for RPA, which is currently not available for everyone. A few people have, a few partners have, and few partners they are available to a few people. Like I have done 3 trainings for pre-sales, sales, and one more was that for RPA.
Thank you.
All right, the birthday boy, Nitish.
Yeah, Shiva. Thank you.
All right.
So seems Jackie is having some mic issue.
No issues. I guess there will be this our question quiz session, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Sure, Jackie.